Hi guys, it is Ella, and today this is podcast 1, and we are going to be discussing the prime causes of plastic pollution. Now, there are many different types of plastics, so these are varying from high density plastics to low density plastics to polystyrene to normal styrene, and many, many more. However, the most significant plastic we have to our human race is single-use plastic. Now, you may be wondering, what exactly is single-use plastic? And this is why I'm going to tell you. So these are plastics that can only be used once, and after that, they are thrown away. Now, technically, you can't even dispose of these, as they take thousands and thousands of years to biodegrade. Now, some plastics take longer than others, and some are biodegradable rather than decomposable. Although the use of this form of plastic is harshly perpetrating to the environment, it's the way in which they are disposed of that is the problem. Now, of course, some things that are plastic you may just want to get rid of. Maybe you can't be bothered to hold it anymore. This could be when you're out. Maybe you have a takeaway milkshake. These usually end up getting littered or thrown away into the incorrect bins. Now, 79% of litter that is disposed of is plastic. This statistic may not seem significant to you, but that is approximately 8.3 billion metric tons that is produced. Now, it's not as much mostly of the use of them in the first place, but it's whether they can be used in substitutes. Now, a few substitutes that are good for plastics are wooden forks, paper bags, bamboo toothbrushes. I mean, I know myself, I'll always have a bamboo toothbrush to take away from me, because if I go away, I would rather know that I'm using something sustainable like that rather than a plastic one they may provide me with. Now, can you see if you have any of these alternatives in your house? And if so, how many do you have? Now, the wooden fork is not as bad as plastic, as wood is a natural product. Paper bags are made from natural fibres, so it will break down into tiny little particles as they reach the ocean. Now, many of you have seen probably the new documentary that was released on Netflix recently, which is, in the conclusion, they found that plastics is not the major problem, it is what they do with them. So this, in other words, means it's not as much how much we use. Well, obviously, that is a very important factor. It is how we dispose of them. Now, this is for humans, and this is a behavioural thing. So to us, plastic seems like such a necessity in the way in which we package stuff, we preserve things. Plastic was only invented, though, in 1907, which was just over 100 years ago. Now, this is when an American chemist, Leo Baekeland, created Bakelite. And this was the first real synthetic mass-produced plastic. Now, you're probably thinking, what is the hype about plastic and why do we use it all the time? Now, plastic is cheap and it is very light. This means that it's very beneficial because if you're transporting goods, which we do a lot of, it weighs less and the transportation will be cheaper with a reduction in fuel to move it around. It's also available in large quantities as well as being easy to use everywhere. And another question could be, but why can't we just ask people to recycle it every time? As much as this would be great and this would really benefit our earth, as simple as this may seem, it's more the mindset of people that acts as disposable rather than the actual product itself. The fact that this is the case, it means that there is so much more plastic going into the oceans that is indestructible. Now, the fact that for generations we have been so used to using this product means it has become accustomed to having and is fairly unrestricted and has many very necessary uses. Now, why can't we just burn all the plastic? I mean, as great as that sounds, we can't even resort to burning plastic. This is because it's toxic. I mean, have you ever seen the thick black smoke coming from plastic? That is what's happened when it is burnt, and this is the toxins being released. Now, although the plastic issue is one of the most affecting our earth, there are companies trying to do their part to reduce the prime causes. Now, McDonald's have introduced paper straws, supermarkets charge for bags, and there is now an increased use of bags for life. Now, is this the same in all cultures? I mean, in the UK, we are likely to have very clean water supply and many places are in access to clean water. However, there are other places such as Barcelona where bottled water is very promoted. And I mean, this is due to the fact that water is not as clean and often tastes slightly, you could say, chlorinated. So this encourages many people to buy bottled water. I'm guessing a lot of you know where Barcelona is, and due to that it's a major tourist site. It means that tourists, obviously when hot, will want to purchase this as they cannot drink from taps. I mean, due to the mass tourism as well, it will promote the production of more plastic, which is moving away from one of our sustainability goals. There is Sustainability Goal 12, and this is to reduce the production and consumption of plastic. Now, there are ways in which we can reduce plastic into getting to our landfills, and you may be wondering how landfills affect our environment. Now, let me tell you. So, as well as them being quite unattractive, it is the mass and oils of waste that is the problem. Now, landfills are a major source of pollution and they let out toxins as well as contributing to the greenhouse gases that are released into our atmosphere. Now, these odours can produce a foul smell and do also cause problems for animals as well as humans. I mean, we could just simply not use plastic, but due to the fact we've had it for so long and this is very beneficial to us, that is quite unrealistic. It's how we need to dispose of it and treat the waste and recycle it in a way in which it would not get loose. It is the increasing use of plastic, and it does have lots of very useful features, such as storing liquids, keeping items fresh, and it's also a lot more aesthetically pleasing to most. I mean, for some, it may be hard to picture the effects that this is causing, even after all the statistics provided. As for some, it isn't always visual. It might not blow into your neighbourhood, and you might have quite a clean neighbourhood, but it does travel elsewhere, and this is mainly from our food and drink industry, as we do consume it and then just chuck it away. I mean, I feel like personally, if we start educating people from a young age with questions such as, why do people litter? Did you know 75% of people did admit to having littered before? If we compare this to our population, this is nearly 6 billion people. I mean, if this was in our school, this would be around 157.7 people, and we are a very small school. Now, this is worse if the food is transported into remote locations. This is due to the fact that it ends up in the ocean with no access of removal. Now, this is very harmful. So I just feel like I wanted to promote this podcast to make people aware and educated on plastic so that we can work together in order to form a more sustainable earth and to live on for better future generations. I would also like to provide a task at the end of this podcast. So I want you to count how much single-use plastic that you have in your house and find alternatives for this. Maybe you have a bamboo toothbrush that you never knew about. Invest in a plastic water bottle if you can, and they can range from cheaper prices to more expensive prices. Hi guys, it is Ella, and today this is podcast one, and we are going to be discussing the prime causes of plastic pollution. Now, there are many different types of plastics, so these are varying from high density plastics to low density plastics to polystyrene to normal styrene, and many, many more.